if you're gonna learn how to play a stick dulcimer, you should know what the parts are. That way you can follow along in literature if you're trying to read up on it, or if you're talking to another musician, whether they play this or a guitar or whatever, there's gonna be common nomenclature you should know. So let me walk you around this. This particular one that I have in my hands is a Strumstick. I forget the specific name of it. It's the G-tuned baby Strumstick, I think. I'll start at this end and work my way up. So back here is a strap button. Kind of self-explanatory. You put a strap around it. These are the in pins, or the where the strings loop over. These types of stick dulcimers use mandolin strings, which have loops at the end. This is just felt that they put on there, or pipe cleaner, to protect the instrument. This is the top of the instrument, so you could say the top and be completely fine there. Sound hole. And this is the bridge. Okay. Now, on this particular type of instrument, as opposed to a Seagull Merlin, the bridge is floating, it's movable. If I were to push really hard, this would get out of place and create a problem called intonation issues, where if I play up and down the neck, it doesn't necessarily sound quite in tune. This should not be moved. You should figure out where it's supposed to be and leave it there, mark it, or just look up videos which will have on how to place it so that you have the correct intonation. Otherwise you'll get really, really frustrated, because this being a slight bit out will mean that you don't sound like you're playing in tune. Conversely, the Seagull Merlin has a fixed bridge, not a floating bridge. Anyway, so this is the body. The whole thing is called the body. Back, right? Sides. Now, the reason I point out the sides, since that's a fairly obvious thing, is that on this type of stick dulcimer, which is a Pickin stick model, the way that it's constructed is the neck into the body is all just one piece. You see there's no seam right here. It's just the neck goes all the way down, and what they've done is right up in here, where you can't see it, the neck was one piece, they split the neck up to here, they widen the whole thing out by putting a block in the end of it that keeps it spread apart, and then they put a front and back on it. Jerry Ressler, or is it John Ressler? I should know that. He wrote a book about how to build these things, which we went ahead and used. Now, back to this fret, or fret wire. This is the thing that you put your finger near. It causes the string, when pressed, to have a higher register. Right? So that's your frets. These are your strings. I feel like that's probably known. And then up here, we have, this is the 0 fret. And I want to bring that up because sometimes you'll see a nut, which is not here. They do not have a nut on this. A nut would be separate from a 0 fret or in place of a 0 fret. Guitars have nuts, but Seagull Merlins, for example, have 0 frets. Some of these stick dulcimers, like some of the other ones we sell, have a nut. The only difference between a 0 fret and a nut, loosely speaking, is the nut is a fixed piece of material that can be only adjusted one time. This is a fret that's been that can more easily be pulled out and changed and everything. Up here on this version we have tuning keys, right? And this piece that you can see here is the gear for it. So that's the tuning gear. The whole thing, depending on who you're talking to, would be considered the headstock or peg head. So if you're talking to guitarists, when they're talking about the headstock, they're talking about the top where all the strings go. Some people might call these the string winders. See how they go in there. These interior pieces that the string winds around would be the posts. It's a little different on this because of the way that it's constructed, but if that's the term you hear, then that's what it's referring to. The only other unique thing that I should point out on this one, which is true for any Pickin stick is it's modeled after a mountain dulcimer made post 1970s, when they started adding what's called the 6.5 fret, which is right here. The reason you know it's the 6.5 fret is that it's out of the key. So as you probably know by now from the other videos, the beautiful thing about a stick dulcimer is it's fretted to be in one key. So that's the one key, but what I left out when I was going up is this flat 7. So in key, in key, in key, in key, in key, in key, not in key. It is the flat 7 of the scale, but it is considered the 6.5 fret. That is just a name that's totally unique to the mountain dulcimer and stick dulcimer community. Guitarists would not refer to it that way because they don't have this type of a fret. They have the note, but not the way that it's fretted, because they're chromatically fretted. So you can get some nice different notes, different structures, chords, sounds out of having that extra fret there, but it can also be a bit of a hindrance if you're looking to just play straight in the key, you know, so that'll throw you off. That is a difference between this one and the Seagull Merlins. They are not, they do not have a 6.5 fret. So matter of preference there, matter of the way it's constructed. Don't think I left anything out, but hopefully that's a helpful education point. Feel free to throw comments in for us or email us at hello@stickdulcimer.com.